Hello everyone, Keza here today, going over some of the craziness that happened during Halloween. I'm always kind of busy during Halloween, so getting a video out at that time is always difficult, so I'm going to go over some of the cool stuff that happened in kind of the second half of it. My starting Halloween video covered a bit of the first half. So you'll see here I'm using a Mage in the Night of Horrors. That was interesting. It was the first time I've ever even tried to bring a Mage build into the Night of Horrors, and I mostly tried it because I was seeing other players having great success with Mages here. But the one I brought in was not entirely for nuking. They're a strange Provo Discordance Nox Mage, so poisoning. And I tried everything from summons to straight up poisoning monsters here and everything in between. Not really a bad build, but not a top build for Night of Horrors. It's also very possible that I'm just bad at playing a mage and then I'm not accustomed to running around looking for spells and regs at the beginning. That definitely cost me a lot of time each round I did it with a mage. Knowing where good high-level spells are at the beginning will definitely save you a huge amount of time. Something I didn't really get until my third try with it. But hey, you know, you play and you learn. I did have better luck with an archer because the only thing you really need to focus on finding with that is arrows and a few bandages. And if you know where the arrows are, it's not that terrible. An archer can actually be an excellent support role because the amount of times you have to die is so much less when you can just stand back and shoot the bosses or mini bosses or whatever you're going after. Yeah, you can just stand there and use Provo or Discordance or whatever. The damage, of course, is pretty low, but yeah, staying alive, especially if you're trying to hold Provo on monsters, definitely a lot easier with an archer. Moving on to Night of Horrors 2, or the City of the Dead. I still did a lot of stuff in there with my Imps, various other builds. The Imps one, I don't know, I just ended up favoring that towards the end. I really love the the challenge of just trying to keep these 100 hit point tames alive while having huge damage from them. You can just destroy things. I actually got some pretty decent drops using that character. Using them either with the Imps or the Bears. There's also the challenge of keeping stats, well, the Dexter stats up to 100 or above, meaning you have to use potions or bless. I've seen a lot of people say it's difficult to have a Dexter tamer because, you know, you can't gate your own pets around, but you can make a build that works with that. It's just a difficult build to use, and you really have to be quick at swapping your weapons on and off for casting and whatnot. Speaking of casting, I also brought my Nox Provo Mage into the City of the Dead, and that went about as expected. With most things being immune to poison, I had to rely on summons or e-bolts to get damage in, but also learned that your overall damage to the monsters has to exceed their damage done to each other via Provo, or you won't get awarded any points for killing them. It's interesting because you'll still get all the holiday coin drops and the auto drops and stuff like statues or whatnot that they would have, even if you do just almost no damage at all and the Provo does it all. But if their Provo damage exceeds the damage you do to them, meaning they do, you know, 51% or more damage to each other, then you actually don't get the points on the scoreboard. So you'll see I've killed several targets here and stuff, and my overall scoreboard points for this character are absolutely terrible because the monsters are typically doing more damage to each other than I'm doing to them. And that's not an error at all. You're actually intended to have to win the damage battle. I talked to Telemon about it, and he said, you know, it's just part of the system. If they're doing all the damage and you're not doing any of it, the Provo damage will override yours, and they'll technically be getting the kills on each other. I did, however, find an instance in which the scoreboard was not working correctly. Not that the scoreboard is what makes City of the Dead. I'm just showing this as reference for something that might change next year. You can see my frost spiders here doing damage to these monsters, and you can also see the scoreboard not recording these kills. Now, I talked to Telemon about this, and he's not entirely sure exactly why my lesser tames aren't, the damage isn't basically being recorded on the character. This happened on my character here with the spiders. It also happened on my Scorpion Archer character, where smaller points of damage from tames don't seem to be recorded correctly. I've never seen this problem with other builds, such as when I use my Frenzied Ostard pack. But, I mean, whether or not the scoreboard is perfect or not, I mean, it doesn't take away from the fact that the City of the Dead and Halloween overall is awesome. And I still went through this with all kinds of characters. Another one, by the end, still being my favorite is the Fire Bard. If you just have tons of fire horns to go through, man, Halloween is the time to use them. They do break quite often, so I typically go in with 6 to 8 fire horns and just tons of ash. But man, just going through and burning down targets like that, I don't know why, it's just so rewarding to see them all on fire. Yeah, I'd really recommend trying that build in this, or just in general if you haven't tried it yet. To sum up Halloween for me, it was really just great to get out there and kill stuff, randomly run into other people, and then take on a boss. Yeah, it was just a bunch of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this from my point of view. I actually hope that more people over time will make their own YouTube videos of what they do in Halloween or other holiday events, or just in play in general. There's so many different ways to play this game. Recently I've been talking to other people, and it's like, yes, I don't use dragons, wyrms, or nightmares, and there's a huge amount of high-level gameplay, including things like triple boxing, eye docking, champs, harrowers, all kinds of stuff that's typically done with those types of builds that are completely void from my channel. So if anyone else is out there thinking you want to make a YouTube channel for Ultima Online Renaissance gameplay of any type, I'd say go for it. I'm not covering everything there is here. I mean, this is pretty much it for me. You see Ostards, Imps, crazy builds going on right here. This is the kind of craziness that I love doing. But there's a lot more to the game than just what I'm showing here. That is it for Halloween, though. I'll likely have more videos in a while for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and other holiday events. For now, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and hopefully I'll see you guys all around in-game.